Good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Corrinala, and I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest. It is a little after 6 a.m. on Friday, May 24th, 2022, and I'm doing my usual morning walk out to the barn to feed the horses. So as you can see, it's kind of gray. It is Memorial Day weekend, so thank you to those who have served, and especially to those who have sacrificed everything for that. Really appreciate that and want to keep that in mind. It's a long weekend for me. I don't have any active military family members currently. My late mother-in-law was in the Coast Guard and retired in the early 2000s. Other than that, I have a cousin who was in the military, and one of my cousin's daughters is married to someone who is currently serving in the Army. So I guess my last statement was incorrect about not having any family members currently in the military. That is not true. Here's the creek. It rained a lot earlier this week, and at the end of this video I will show you what the creek looked like after that like 24-hour rainstorm. I have, let's see, knitting content. I have a finished object for you, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Today is the first day of the Crazy Sock Ladies summer sock camp. So of course I have sock knitting plans and some works in progress to share with you on that. Other than that, I have some bicycling plans, maybe some horse riding plans for the weekend, and I will talk about our upcoming bicycle trip that we are going to do in June. I saw the horses here a second ago. Oh, there they are, waiting expectantly for their breakfast. So I'm going to get to feeding. Good morning, everyone. Good morning again. Welcome to the knitting and kind of storytelling part of my podcast. As I indicated in the introductory part of the video, I have a finished object, and here it is. This is my Scrappy raglan sweater, made out of 2 strands of fingering weight held together. Most of it is one color, kind of a cool mint green color. I did run out of that toward the end of the left sleeve, and so I ended up using another light color as the base, and then all the kind of stripes you see is all the leftover green yarn that I had that made this, I don't know, kind of nice. I think it's all superwash yarn. So I haven't blocked it. I'm just going to wear it and then throw it in the washing machine. The needles were a US size 4 and a US size 5. So the size 5 is clover, and just knit in the round. And then the US size 4, which was for the collar and cuffs and ribbing at the bottom, is Chagu red lace, and these are a 3.25 millimeter, so they're US size 3. Excuse me. These are still a US size 5, which I believe is a 3.75 millimeter. So let me show you the yarn that I have left out of this. Like I said, I started with 200 grams of a fingering weight yarn that was the same color. It was a cool minty green. I ran out of that, and I ended up using this color as as kind of the base. And this is a hand-dyed yarn from Skein and Tipple, which is a yarn store / cocktail bar on Whidbey Island. I still have some of this Madeline Tosh left, which I kind of can't believe I have this left because it is so pretty. I crocheted a tunic out of this at least 10 years ago, and this is what I have left. So it is going to go in another Scrappy bag. And then this is what I have left of, and this is most of the sleeve except for this really bright green section here, which was a mini from an Advent. This is Freckled Whimsy, a self-striping yarn that I knit a pair of socks out of, and still have quite a bit left because there is that colorway in the body of this yarn. Of the sweater. And again, it is a do-it-yourself raglan, so I think this is that Freckled Whimsy section here. A lot of this are minis from, I think, a Halloween and also Advent. And just trying to kind of tell where I switched. I want to say I switched here to that other base yarn. So 3/4 length sleeves, which is my preferred length of sleeve, especially in May, as I tend to roll my sleeves up. So it's just nice having this as like kind of the core. I mean, my favorite way to wear sweaters is just like over a t-shirt. I happen to have a tank top on it. I didn't want the sweater to the collar of the t-shirt to be distracting from the sweater, so that's why I have a tank top on, and this is what I am likely going to wear today. It's a little bit cool, a little bit rainy, although I think it's supposed to get warmer. Right into the weather report. Drinking green tea. I'll talk about tea and dietary habits later, I hope. I have a lot of knitting content to share with you, so let's get started. So this is my finished object. I am dangerously close to finishing a pair of socks that I have shown before, so I decided to not show those today because they will be a finished object next week. I do have a half finished object, and that is this pair of quilted socks. So I still need to do the ends in, which is why it's inside out, but here, let me show you the outside. So this yarn is a Polka Dot Creek. It's from a Blanket Club. The pattern is a K. Jones Scrappy quilted pattern. So it's a particular pattern of knits and purls, and the cuff is 15 rows. I cast on 56 stitches with the size 0, which is 2mm Chowgu red lace bamboo needles, which I have found are slightly smaller than their size 0 steel needles. And then I just did 20 rounds each for the colors, and 10. Then I did the heel flap, 10, and then the foot. And I think I did 15 here, and then the toe is K. Jones umbrella toe. So that's the first one. I just cast on the second sock this morning. I'm picking the colors somewhat randomly, so this is all I have, not much. So it's going to look different. I'm not sure. This could be, I bet that's this color down here in the toe that's going to be the cuff. So that'll be fun. I pretty much followed her color scheme on one of her samples, which I really like. But then as I started, as I was kind of looking at the yarn, it's like, it's kind of a lot of trouble to just make sure the yarn all matches for each stripe. So I'm just going to do it randomly because I think that will be fun. Like I said, I cast on 56 stitches. That is the size small. I prefer 60, but it really wouldn't work in this type of a sock just because of the pattern repeat. The way it works is, I think it's the pattern is a 4-stitch repeat, although I have the pattern right here. Yes, it is a 4-stitch repeat. This is a paid for pattern. Here it is in the Scrappy version. It was really fun to knit, so I suspect I will do that. Maybe that's what I will do out of my leftover scraps. I typically can knit a pair of socks out of 50 grams of yarn, so I can usually get 2 pairs of socks out of a skein of fingering weight yarn. These minis are 9. I can't remember if they're 10 gram or they're 20 gram. So if they were 10 gram, that would be 90. So hopefully I have enough yarn. I didn't weigh them before I started, and I honestly didn't look. Although I do have another set. This was the April set of minis. I have the May set that I will talk about in future cast-ons. So hopefully I will have the second sock finished by next week, and we'll have 2 finished objects. Another work in progress I have are my long socks. So, and I'm basically doing 4 rows a day, unless I get distracted and do more. So I tied a knot in this bag. I keep forgetting to talk about the bags. So this bag was made by my mom. It's a quilted bag with a zipper. Very nice. It's lined and has a little pocket for scissors and little doodads. So I love this bag. She has since made me some very simple bags, just drawstring, unlined, and I love these too. So this one is perfect for a project that has a lot of yarn and has a book, which this one does. So I am knitting the socks that are featured on the front cover here. This Sock Knitting Masterclass by Ann Budd. And these are the over the knee striped socks. They're called actually thigh high stripes, designed by Deborah Newton. And there's a combination of stripes and color work. Cast on was 116 stitches, so about the same as a hat. And this is what it looks like so far. So making significant progress. So I've done this colorwork section. I am on another colorwork section, and I've had to change colors in the brown. So I bought this brown, which is slightly different, but close enough. And this is wool, this is alpaca. So it's going to behave differently. I am aware of that. I'm not concerned because these are scrappy socks that will need to be hand washed because of the wool content of some of these yarns. It takes 7 colors. So I am using, so again, this is an alpaca. This is a Lolo Did It, one of the hippo colorways. This is a colorway I cannot remember, or the yarn brand. This is West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is Blue Raspberry. This is a hand-dyed yarn, Fiddle Bits by Nativity. And this is Jada Woo Designs, and this is Navy. And then another West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is Marshmallow. So long-term project. I expect to be knitting on this in the winter, so I'm definitely down in the leg section. I am going to decrease down to, ultimately it decreases down to 64 stitches. I will decrease it down to probably 56 because I am using bigger needles than I usually do. I typically use size 0. These are Addy Flexi Flips, and these are size, I think, 1.5 and 2.5. Where are my needle containers? That is one thing about a big bag, is that you can definitely, oh, they're there. So 2.5 millimeters, US size 1, and then the other one is 2.75 millimeters, so US size 1.5. And that is what I have on here now because I'm in a colorwork section. So that is, I knit tighter if I'm doing color work because Typically I knit left-handed and my gauge is looser. When I knit right-handed, my right-hand stitches are tight. So, so when I'm doing stranded color work and I knit both left and right-handed, I have to use the bigger needles to make up for that grip that I have on my right hand. So I love the Flexi Flip needles. So they are double pointed needles. Whoops, there's a regular double pointed needle that's of that same size with a little flexible piece in the middle. And I use stitch holders on there, or stitch stoppers, so they don't fall off, because on a project like this, that can certainly happen. This could be a long episode, so I hope you have something nice to drink and a project to work on, because I have a lot to talk about today. I'm gonna get the ribbons out of the needles. So I'll be working on that today. And I'll work on that other pair of socks that I want to finish that I'm not featuring today. So let's talk about new cast-ons. If you follow Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, you will know that Summer Sock Camp is starting today. And I like to participate. I'm not like a competitive sock knitter. And, you know, I know she has knit like more than 30 pairs of socks already this year. I have done pretty well. I've probably knit, I don't know, 4 or 5 pairs of socks already, which is kind of surprising, especially considering I've done some garments and cowls and stuff like that as well. But, you know, steady wins the race. So, new cast on, or this bag was made by my sweetheart, my partner. He is a sewist, and this was a, what do you call it? A sample or a mock-up for a larger project bag that he is going to make for me. It is lined with a nice kind of wool felt fabric, canvas handles, and these are leather scraps that he obtained, I think from where he works. So yeah, very nice. I really like this. I can't wait to get the finished one, the big one, because it is going to be a nice size. It is going to be, this is a commercial bag, but it is going to be about this size, which is perfect. So this yarn, my mom gave me for Christmas. It is a hand-dyed yarn called Dying to Please. It came from McCall, Idaho. Fingering weight, 434, and it's merino superwash. I don't see anything about the colorway, so that's a receipt that came with it. So very pretty. I am going to make, I think, a very short sleeve t-shirt. So I'm thinking, because I need 2 skeins of yarn for that, I am going to stripe it. No, that's the right. I'm not sure if I'm going to stripe it with these colors. I mean, I like it when I show it this way. Not so sure this way. So I have some other yarn I can try, but what I need to do is wind these up and wind up my other ones, my other possibilities. One is just plain, you know, a plain non-dyed. There's this color, which I think this has too much yellow in it. It's more of a warm color. And there is this. That's a possibility. What I want is for this to be featured prominently, but since I only have 1 skein of it, I do need to stripe it. My other option is to knit socks out of it, or a cowl, or I don't know. I've never knit a Musselburgh hat. I mean, I could do that. That might be a possibility. I'm just not sure. I just need to wind up and do a gauge swatch and figure out. So The tee I'm thinking of doing is the rocket tee. I've made at least one that has the V-neck, but she has come out with the like more of a scoop neck, and so I want to try that pattern. What else? Summer sock camp. Well, let me talk about the yarn before I talk about the patterns that I'm going to do. So this is the Polka Dot Creek mini bundle. This is the June Blanket Club. So, May 2024 Blanket Club. I think there's some of these still available on the website. So these are 10 grams each for 45 yards. So, and there are 9 of these, 5, 9. So I don't know whether I want to do like another like Scrappy quilt socks out of these, or I'm tempted to do a cowl. So I guess the question is, could I wear this? I think I could. So I might. I have a pattern for a cowl that I did not bring up. So I'm going to look at that. It came from the local yarn store tour last weekend that I stopped in the local yarn store to get that alpaca yarn for the long socks. And they were giving away patterns. So I took one. Of course I did. What else do I have going on? Oh, I want to show this bag. So my mom made this bag too, and that's where that really pretty came in for Christmas. So I have another like nifty sock or mitten project bag. I like this drawstring bag as well. And I do have to secure mine because I have one cat that really likes to murder yarn. So it's just better to keep his little paws out of it. So another thing that I've been holding on to for a while is this Freckled Whimsy skein. This is DK weight. I typically don't knit DK weight socks, but they are very nice for winter. This is the Peppermint Mocha. It's a 7-stripe repeat. I'm not sure which pattern I want to do with this. Thinking of doing this maybe later in summer sock camp so that I have it for fall. But very pretty. So Freckled Whimsy, Serendipity, DK. It is 75-25 superwash merino and nylon, and it's 245 yards. So I do have a pattern, just a vanilla socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. So maybe that's what it'll be. That might be a good use for that project. I have a ton of sock yarn, scraps. For instance, this bag is all scraps. I could certainly do the Scrappy quilt socks in those. Here's a pattern I got called Larch Peds by Laura Nelkin. So shorty socks. I'm not sure if I like socks that short. I was kind of thinking maybe those yellow socks I could, or that yellow yarn, the May 2024 Polka Dot Creek. Could certainly do that. Have to think about that. I could do like split. Yeah, I could totally split. So thinking about that. I have a bunch of K. Jones socks patterns. So these Winterfest, and I do have some very bright kind of festive yarn for that. Where did that go? So I have this kind of gray and red put together. So like this with this. Not sure about this. Maybe. To see how that goes. So I could certainly do that. For the Winterfest socks, K. Jones. Kind of fun putting these in order, kind of matching patterns to yarn. Another K. Jones pattern, Moss Eccles. I think that's how you say that. So kind of a nifty lace pattern. I would likely do these in a self-striping yarn, although I have this. So, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Although this could be a base, except I only have one skein. So, scratch that thought. So maybe I'll do that with this one. Maybe I'll put this in this bag. How about that? Thanks for sitting with me while I kind of organize. And I may change my mind because I have these prairie socks here, also a K. Jones pattern. Which would work in a self-striping yarn too. So I have this. No, this is more of a variegated. That's not a self-striping. So I have to think about that. And K. Jones does a great yarn. So this is definitely a tonal. So I could do tonal or a self-striping yarn. So I'm not sure what I am going to do. I don't have that much tonal yarns. Although, no, that's definitely, I would have this Legacy Fiber Arts bag of yarn that has this, which could be pretty. I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to think about that one. But those are kind of my most immediate plans for new cast-ons. I'm 24 minutes in, at least on this part of the video, so I want to talk about other life stuff. So getting ready for a bicycle trip in June. We are going to spend a week on our bicycles. So part of this video is going to have some of the training rides that I have done earlier. I will also share a photo of the route we are going to do. So we are going to start in Wenatchee and do a route that goes over the Columbia River and on the east side of the Columbia River and comes back around. I keep thinking it is a clockwise. Yeah, I think it is a clockwise route. So that's what we are going to do. We're going to pretty much once we get on the east side of the Columbia River, we're going to stay on the east side of the Columbia River until we get back up north, and then we cross over on a roadway and go by the Rocky Reach Dam. So that trip's in June. It's going to be about 40 or 50 miles a day, so definitely need some saddle time. I have ridden anywhere from 5 or 6 miles to 20 miles. The weather hasn't been particularly cooperative. I have said more than once now, we had a ton of rain on Monday, and it lasted 24 hours. So it was nuts. It's drying out now. We are supposed to get a little bit of rain over the weekend, but I'm hoping to get some riding in. Anyway, other stuff going on. Still continuing with some trailer training with Bragi. My trainer's going to come over this morning at 9:45, and we are going to work with him. He has made some progress. He's able to move his body a little bit inside the trailer. So I had to spend a lot of time. We could get him in the trailer, but he was just kind of frozen in there. He just did not realize he had the opportunity, or he had the ability to move his body even when he's afraid. But he was so afraid that he wasn't focused. And you know, it's very hard to learn when you're terrified of something. So just, you know, bearing that in mind, it's an unfamiliar environment. It's loud, it's confined, and it's just frankly weird to a horse. So, but my goal is to be able to take him places and have some fun with him like I do Odin. I would like to get out and ride Odin this weekend too. So hoping to do that maybe on Sunday. I think Sunday's the better weather day. And I have a friend whose horse is recovering from surgery, and I think is about, she said her horse would be able to do some nice easy rides this weekend. So hopefully we'll get out and do that. What else is going on? A lot of gardening. I've got a lot of things coming up. I've been, like potatoes, for instance. It's been a cool spring, except for like some fairly hot days. So I've been harvesting some greens. I need to get the tomatoes out. This is usually kind of late for tomatoes. I ordered some from Burpee Seed Catalog and got, I think, 9 starts. 2 of them didn't make it, so I need to contact them and let them know which ones need to be replaced. But hopefully we're kind of more into tomato growing season now. My fava beans are doing really well. The kale's doing really well. Potatoes are coming up. We shared a strawberry from the strawberry plants, so that's all going pretty well. I need to just kind of continue starting lettuce and beets and things that are coming up, and hopefully get to transfer those out to the main garden here soon. I said I would talk about diet a little bit. So if you're not interested in that, I mean, this isn't anything weird. I suppose it's kind of fringe, but it's not anything weird. I've been thinking about whole food, plant-based diet quite a bit, just being better for health. There's a fair amount of scientific evidence out there that it is better for your health, and it's definitely better for the planet. So been thinking a lot about that. We have really significantly reduced the amount of meat that we eat, and I'm trying to reduce dairy because it doesn't always agree with me. So that's why I mentioned the green tea, because I typically drink black tea, which I like cream in my black tea. I don't like any other cream substitute in my black tea. It tastes funny to me. So if I am going to continue this, I either have to switch to coffee, which I can drink black, or green tea is fine. I can drink that, like with honey or just plain. And the honey actually kind of helps calm down my allergies as well, my spring allergies. Other things, so I made, and just kind of back to dietary, I mean, bread is particularly sourdough is a whole food, plant-based. I make sourdough. I have a super easy recipe that I put in the show notes. I find that bread helps my digestive system, even using wheat flour. I use an organic, locally grown and locally milled wheat flour from, I think it's Scaggiavelli Mills. I'm not entirely sure. That could be the yarn, the yarn winding place or the yarn milling place. But there is a local mill. Oh, it's called Cairn Springs, Cairn Springs Mill. And they are just north of here, and they use wheat that is grown in the Scaggiavelli, an organic variety. So I think that that also helps. My health and digestion. And then the other thing I made recently is I made a vegan lasagna. And of course I was skeptical of the vegan ricotta, but you make it yourself. It is a combination of tofu and nutritional yeast and lemon juice and garlic, and it is really good, really good. And it was a spinach lasagna. I just used a commercial tomato sauce. I think I used a combination of a pizza sauce and a marinara, and then the oven ready lasagna noodles, and layered it in. It's very good. The other thing is that neither Randy or I had any respective digestive issues. He tends to get indigestion from tomato-based products. I tend to have trouble with that much dairy. In fact, we both do. But we did not have any trouble from that. Neither one of us felt like too bloated or lead belly. Excuse me, I'm drinking my tea and it's making me hiccup a little bit. So neither of us experienced that. It was relatively easy to make. The hardest part was finding I have a blender. My food processor is pretty small, but you know, if you have like a nice kitchen size food processor, that would be a great way to make that vegan ricotta. So we're going to have that for dinner tonight. Very tasty. And other than that, you know, we've been trying a lot of different salads and roasted vegetables and soups. And, you know, for proteins, typically make garbanzo beans in the Instant Pot or canned beans. I don't worry too much about protein because there's protein in everything, and I do eat a little dairy. Like the vegan lasagna has Parmesan cheese on it, so it's not vegan. Parmesan cheese is, you know, you use that really sparingly, so that doesn't tend to give me issues, and it's such an aged cheese too that it doesn't give me problems. So I'm not going entirely vegan, but I would like to be convert my diet to mostly plant-based as much as possible. And we do, you know, we do occasionally eat meat. I mean, beef, chicken, when we have fish. You know, I'm more prone to eating fish than any other kind of meat. And, you know, I like to make, if we do eat meat, I like to make soup broth out of the bones just to use everything up. So, and butter. I don't know that I could give up butter. I love like the Kerrygold cultured butter. So there's a few things I'm probably not going to entirely give up. And we do eat bacon on the weekends. So there is that. I think the best thing though is that you know you do the best you can and you make improvements where you can, and that goes a long way. One salad that we had earlier in the week that was really tasty. It was kind of a lot of chopping, but it was a mango red bell pepper tossed with mint and basil, and then the dressing was lime and soy sauce and honey and ginger, and then a minced jalapeno, seeded and minced jalapeno, and it was really tasty. Yeah, and it was just satisfying for a nice light dinner after a long day. So those are some of the things that we eat. I haven't tried, I mean, we eat pesto, which has Parmesan in it, so yeah, that is not completely vegan. If you saw a couple episodes ago, I had a ton of rhubarb that came from the garden, and I cut it up, made a whole bunch of like rhubarb juice, and have the pulp that I'm going to make into a rhubarb cake. Maybe probably this weekend I'll do that. That's a vegan recipe. It has oil in it. It's not the whole food plant-based because whole foods don't have oils, but I don't know. I'm fine with oil. So it has a vegetable oil and flour and rhubarb, and you know, I'll use some of the juice for that. And then sugar, brown sugar. Very tasty snack cake. So I just kind of forgot where I was going with this. Another thing, I'm gonna try editing. You know, I don't edit my videos, but I'm actually gonna try editing. So hopefully this will be a nice surprise. We'll see how much work it is and if I get really frustrated. You know, I mean, I spent all week at work on a computer. I don't really want to spend my weekends on a computer. So we'll see how that goes. I was just thinking, oh, rhubarb. That's what I was talking about. So I have all this rhubarb juice and I wasn't sure what to do with it. I mean, I did sweeten it a little bit, but I decided to make kombucha. Which, if you don't know, kombucha is a fermented kind of tea, or there's an extremely minor amount of alcohol in it. The carbonation part gives it a little bit of alcohol, but I think it's like less than 1%. So the tricky thing is that you need a SCOBY, or it's a symbiotic culture of something, bacteria and yeast, I think is what SCOBY stands for. And it's this really gelatinous, ugly looking thing that is kind of alarming. But if you have like raw apple cider vinegar, it has a SCOBY, or a mother. It's also called a mother. And so you can use raw apple cider vinegar to start your kombucha. I unfortunately discovered that the apple cider vinegar I have is a Kroger product and not raw. So I was looking online for like, well, how do I make a SCOBY? And you can do it with black tea. It takes a while. It's like black tea and sugar and water. So you can try that. I found a mostly consumed bottle of kombucha in the back of the refrigerator that my sister left last summer. And it doesn't have a mother per se, but it definitely had some yeasty bits in the bottom. So I'm hoping it's enough. So I mixed that with the rhubarb juice, and it is sitting on the counter in with a paper towel rubber band around the jar, and a towel over it to kind of keep it dark. So I'll check that in a couple days, and hopefully we'll see a mother forming. And if so, then I will, and if I like it, then I will do that with the rest of my rhubarb juice. Other ferment, I've been watching Gaz Oakley's YouTube channel. He is a vegan chef based out of Wales and does a lot of gardening videos. And he's been showing some videos lately on, I'm watching it start to rain, which is not very encouraging for the lesson I'm going to have with Bragi in an hour or so. Anyway, so he did some fermented rhubarb, and I cut the bejeebers out of my rhubarb and transplanted it in different places, and it is starting to come back in the place that I was trying to transplant it from. All that to say, I may have enough rhubarb stalks to do a ferment. I'm thinking about, I think we have some cauliflower and some carrots in the refrigerator, so I'm thinking about doing a ferment of that as well. So fermentation, very good for your gut bacteria. It's a little bit funky, so if you don't like sauerkraut or kimchi, then it might be hard to get used to, and kombucha might be a really nice way to introduce yourself to fermented stuff if you're so inclined. So I'm going to leave that here. Like I said, I will have some photos of different things that happened during the week, and hopefully a beautifully edited version of this. And have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 22nd. We have had a ton of rain in the last 24 hours. So I'm just walking to the barn. It's about 5:30 in the morning. And I just wanted to show you the creek, which is, this is the downstream side. Quite a lot of water in there. And then the upstream side, it's hard to see with all the ferns, but also lots of water there. There's the house through all the greenery. So that's all I really wanted to share this morning. I'm sure the horses are looking forward to breakfast, and I'll see you on Friday. Well, good morning, dear. Please stay out of my fava beans.